alike, many decked out in the traditional lederhosen. Even though it is called Oktoberfest, one of the world's largest fun fairs, traditionally begins in September and runs into the month of October.
Fall is almost here.
It's here.
Thanks for watching it for everybody. News 3 at 5 starts right after a quick break.
Right now at 5, we now know the name of the suspect in yesterday's shooting at a Middleton software company. We'll have details on the shooter and what we know about a possible motive.
Plus, we'll hear from some of the people who heard gunshots during yesterday's shooting.
And Democratic candidate for Governor Tony Evers says he's not against raising taxes for Wisconsinites. How Republicans are responding.
This is News 3 at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3. We now know the name of the man accused of shooting his coworkers at a Middleton software company.
The Dane County Medical Examiner has identified him as 43-year-old Anthony Tong of Madison. We have team coverage of the workplace shooting investigation tonight, and we begin with our Keely Arthur, who is in Middleton with the latest. Keely?
That's right. This is Anthony Tong's residence. You can see here it's very quiet compared to how it was yesterday. If you look over at his home, you can see where police tried to break in and learn more about the man behind the shooting.
It blows my mind. Like, I'm at a loss for words.
Megan McDonough reacting to the fact that the neighbor just 4 doors down is the man who shot 4 people yesterday.
It just all happened so fast.
The medical examiner identified Anthony Tong today as the Middleton shooter. Police say he opened fire on his co-workers at WTS Paradigm.
He had come to work, and sometime later the shooting started.
That happened at around 10:30 Wednesday morning. As authorities figured out it was Tong, they headed here to his Madison home and alerted neighbors.
He said, I can confirm that this is in relation to the shooting in Middleton this morning, and we are going to ask you to evacuate your houses.
Law enforcement conducted an extensive search, looking to answer the big question: why did Tong do it?
The investigators, are still digging for that. Obviously, that's one thing that's on the top of everybody's mind, and we just have not found one yet.
Back at home now, McDonough and boyfriend Sawyer Smith are wondering the same exact thing.
To know that he had all those weapons and had this plan and was making that plan probably right next door.
You can't trust anybody. People snap. You don't know what's going on in everybody's life. You just, thank God that didn't happen here.
Police say they found, quote, an arsenal of weapons on Tong's person. They wouldn't say what they found inside his home here on Madison's west side. They did say, though, that he did not have a license to carry a gun, however, had no criminal record, at least in the state of Wisconsin.
Keely Arthur reporting live for us. Keely, thank you.
The Middleton police chief is praising the employees of WTS Paradigm for acting quickly when there was a shooter in their workplace yesterday. Area law enforcement agencies shared an update on their investigation earlier this morning. They say 3 of the 4 victims remain in the hospital after that shooting on Deming Way in Middleton yesterday. Police say as of now there is no motive for that shooting. Chief Folk says the employees took the proper steps while there was an active shooter in their workplace.
I think they did a variety of things. I know people were hiding under desks. I know people were barricading themselves into rooms. I know a lot of them fled. And those are, three of the top three things that we would urge people to do in a situation like that. Whether or not they had any formal training, I don't know that.
The names of the victims have not yet been released. The names of the deputies who fired their weapons at the suspect have also not been released. They are expected to be interviewed by investigators sometime tomorrow.
The people who heard gunshots and were part of the chaos yesterday say it's something they won't soon forget. The businesses closest to that scene are still closed as the investigation continues, but employees were able to get back to get their personal items today. Rose Schmidt was there and tells us how the mood was out there today. Rose.
That's right. Well, as you can imagine, pretty emotional day for these people. We saw lots of hugging and the employees with their families emotional but grateful to be alive. WTS Paradigm and Esker employees have been instructed not to talk to members of the media, but we watched as dozens came to the Marriott Residence Inn this afternoon, where officers went back into their buildings to grab wallets, keys, purses, and whatever else they left behind. And while things were a bit more calm today, it will be hard for people who work in Middleton to forget what happened yesterday.
That hit home, and I have kids myself, and I got home and I hugged them. I was anxious to get done. I was just rushing to get done, get the job done, because I wanted to get home and hug my babies.
Family members also came to the Residence Inn to help their loved ones during this difficult time. Officers marched those employees just a few blocks away to the scene of the shooting, and they were able to drive their cars out of the parking lot for the first time. Now, if you or someone you know is going through a difficult time after this shooting, you can call the number on your screen 24 hours a day to get information about trauma services and support. And witnesses that have not talked to law enforcement should call the Dane County tip line.
All right, Rose Schmidt reporting tonight. Rose, thank you.
Thank you, Rose.
Many businesses near WTS Paradigm are reopening today after being placed on lockdown. But for many employees at those stores, the experience of having an active shooter in their area is still hard to process. Adam Duxter talked to several nearby businesses today, and he's in the news center with more. Adam?
Well, Susan and Eric, for those who work near WTS Paradigm, yesterday's events created a lot of confusion and left them feeling scared about what was going on just nearby. Now, many of these stores are on Deming Way, like Smoothie King, and they were placed on lockdown. The manager at Smoothie King I talked to today said it took her a while to figure out what was happening. She said having a threat happen so close to her workplace left her feeling scared even a day after the event.
That's what's the hardest for me is like this morning, like I was scared, like, what if someone just comes in and now it's like it was right there, right across the street.
Now, Smoothie King is back open today, as well as many of the other nearby stores. But while even Carpenter's store was placed on lockdown, her and her staff were working to treat people displaced from their offices. It's a story you won't want to miss, and that's coming up next at 6.
We will see then. Thank you, Adam. The business that was located near where the shooting happened released a statement. The spokesperson for Esker says, quote, "We are saddened by the shooting that took place yesterday at a neighboring business and are keeping the victims, first responders, and all of those affected by yesterday's tragedy in our thoughts and prayers. All Esker employees are safe and all are accounted for." Next at 5, Wisconsin Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin reacting to yesterday's workplace shooting in Middleton. Baldwin says the shooting shows the need for gun control measures that are, quote, consistent with the Second Amendment. Senator Baldwin said that she supports universal background checks and banning rapid-fire bump stock devices. A spokesperson for Republican State Senator Leah Vukmir, who is running against Senator Baldwin in November, says, quote, Senator Baldwin wants to increase the number of gun laws, then hypocritically supports the appointing of dangerous liberal judges who don't actually hold individuals accountable for breaking those laws. Senator Baldwin isn't serious about solving problems. She's only interested in spewing do-nothing nonsense. Students and community members will host a die-in Sunday inside the Capitol Rotunda to protest gun violence following the office shooting in Middleton. Organizers say the protest will specifically be targeting politicians who have allowed the gun violence epidemic to continue by not supporting issues like universal background checks and raising the age to purchase a firearm and a 48-hour waiting period. The rally will start at 3 p.m. in the Rotunda. The die-in will be held at 3:30 and it will last for 600 seconds or 10 minutes, which is the average number of people that die from gun violence every year in Wisconsin. Let's get a first check on the weather now. Gary Canulty is in the Weather Center. Gary?
Susan, fortunately, we've been dry for much of the day today. Last night, Southwestern Wisconsin got hit very hard with heavy rain. In fact, over the last 48 hours, anywhere from 3 to 7 inches of rain fell in a band from southwestern Wisconsin through the Platteville area and then eastward into Greene County, north of Monroe and over toward New Glarus. Lesser amounts to the north and south of that area. But right now, things very quiet across southern Wisconsin. We've had the sun come out, temperatures have warmed up, the atmosphere is capped, so it's keeping the thunderstorms from developing. Farther out to the west, that's a different story as a cold front moves in. Severe thunderstorm and tornado watches are in effect from southern Minnesota through much of western Iowa, and that line of storms through western Minnesota and western Iowa should reach us later on tonight. Fortunately, at that time, it should be weakening a bit, but there still is a slight risk of severe thunderstorms, hail, and high winds, the main threat to the north and west of Madison, especially the highest severe weather threat back across west central Wisconsin and southeastern Minnesota, where tornadoes may be possible this evening. Low temperatures started out around 60 degrees this morning, but right now we're near our highs for the days. 90 around Janesville and Monroe, 84 in Madison, but only in the low 70s in the northern parts of our viewing area. Dew point temperatures are in the lower 70s, and heat index values are in the middle 90s down near the Illinois state line. So very warm and humid out there. Look for a period of thunderstorms around midnight or shortly thereafter. Then look for just cloudy and cool weather for tomorrow. High temperatures only around 64. That's your first alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. A 15-year-old boy was arrested this morning. This is in connection with the shooting that happened yesterday afternoon on a city bus. A Madison police official said they received a call before 4 in the afternoon. Someone was shot on a bus at Flom Road at Monona Drive. The victim, a 16-year-old boy, was shot in the leg. They say it is a non-life-threatening wound. The victim and shooter are believed to both be students. Police said they did know each other and that it's not clear if it was intentional or accidental at this time. 3 area schools were placed on lockdown in response to that shooting.
Democratic candidate for governor and Wisconsin State Superintendent Tony Evers says the policies of Governor Scott Walker are failing us. Evers said that Walker's agenda and divisive solutions from Washington are not working at an annual speech that he gives that comes in the heat of the governor's race and provides Evers a platform to explain his proposed education department budget. Evers is touting the plan as a way to fix the state aid system for schools. It would increase funding by 10%. Evers said the state government is failing our kids, so the people are stepping up.
Over half the school districts in the state have passed referenda since 2011, and the success of those rate is about 70%. State leaders in Madison aren't getting the job done, so the people of Wisconsin are doing it themselves.
But Republicans say Tony Evers' plans for the state would cost taxpayers more money. They say Evers would raise property taxes, and his spending, including putting $1.4 billion towards school funding, would affect the state budget. Republicans say Evers would not rule out an additional $1 a gallon gas tax.
Wisconsin will no longer be open for business under Tony Evers. Wisconsin families remember the days of double-digit tax increases and record job losses. We can't go back to those failed policies. Our hardworking families cannot afford Tony Evers' spending.
Democrat Tony Evers and Republican Governor Scott Walker will be on the ballot for the fall general election on November 6th.
There's more to come on News 3 at 5. Up next, 3 people are dead, 3 injured at a shooting at a distribution center in Maryland. We'll have the very latest.
Plus, the woman who is accusing Supreme Court nominee Judge Kavanaugh of sexual assault says she is willing to testify.
And a look at the markets on this Thursday. These are new record highs for both the Dow and the S&P. The Dow up more than 250 points, the NASDAQ adding 78. We'll be right back. We are learning more about what happened when a woman opened fire at a warehouse in Maryland this morning.
Law enforcement officials say 3 people were killed and 3 others injured when a woman opened fire at a Maryland warehouse. The shooter also died after turning the gun on herself. The shooting took place at a Rite Aid distribution center, which has about 1,000 employees. Police say the suspect began shooting outside and then made her way inside. Police are not releasing her name at this time.
Our suspect is a lone female suspect, age 26, who had a last known address in Baltimore County. She has died at the hospital. The suspect was a temporary employee employed here at the distribution center. She had reported for her workday as usual, and around 9 a.m. the shooting began.
Police are working to find a motive. They say they do not suspect terrorism.
Attorneys for Dr. Christine Blasey Ford have reached out to the Senate Judiciary Committee saying she wishes to testify next week if certain safety and fairness considerations can be met. Her attorneys say she might testify if they can agree to these fair terms. Democratic lawmakers say the FBI investigated Anita Hill's sexual misconduct allegations against Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas nearly 27 years ago. They say they want the same considerations now.
Someone who is lying does not ask the FBI to investigate their claims. Who is not asking the FBI to investigate these claims? The White House.
Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley says the committee is working on its own investigation and that aides are reaching out to a witness, Mark Judge, as well as 2 other unnamed alleged witnesses, and that Democrats had, quote, thus far declined to participate. Republicans say aides interviewed Judge Kavanaugh under oath in private Monday. They appear to be moving ahead with plans to vote on his nomination next week.
Let's head out to the weather patio now. It's a warm afternoon now, but some changes are on the way. Hi, Gary.
Hi, yeah, we're seeing rapid changes in the weather. This morning it was cloudy and cool. It was cool all day yesterday, and then all of a sudden, boom, we had a warm front come through. The skies cleared out and temperatures have soared. That could lead to severe weather threats tonight, but at least should lessen the heavy rain threat because of the fast movement of the storms. And then we look at much cooler weather down the line. Take a look at the 48-hour precipitation estimates over southwestern Wisconsin. Between 3 and 7 inches of rain from around Guttenberg, Iowa, through Platteville, just to the north of Darlington and to the south of Dodgeville, over to around New Glarus in the western portion of Greene County. They don't need another drop of rain there. And right now, things are pretty quiet. Now that the skies have cleared out, the threat for rain has pretty much diminished over southern Wisconsin. A couple of thunderstorms that we were watching in northern Illinois have fallen apart as they've moved into southeastern Wisconsin because the air aloft is very warm. Out to the west, look at that line of thunderstorms cutting through Minnesota and western Iowa. Severe thunderstorm watch for Iowa, tornado watch for southern Minnesota. Tornado threat is going to be highest on the northern end of that line of storms, and also where those storms are firing up into parts of western Wisconsin. In fact, Storm Prediction Center says an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms north and west of La Crosse for tonight. A slight risk from Madison to the north and west. Those storms, as they reach us, will be weakening shortly after midnight. Gusty winds and hail, the main threats. The farther south and east you go, the lower the severe weather threat. Tornado threat highest across southeastern Minnesota. That hashed area indicates the potential for a couple of strong tornadoes of EF2 strength or stronger across Minnesota into west central Wisconsin. High wind threat also pretty high as that line of storms sweeps eastward later tonight through northern Iowa and southeastern Minnesota. Hail threat is there, but not as high as the other threats. Live view from the Quebe Radio Skycam in Platteville. Skies have cleared out and temperatures have soared over southwestern Wisconsin, where they had heavy rain last night. The WISC Skycam showing just a few clouds on the eastern horizon, otherwise mostly sunny skies here. Edgewater Skycam downtown Madison, plenty of sunshine as well, and you can see this reflected in the temperatures. Our almanac for today, high temperature at 84 degrees, low temperature at 60, and right now we're at 84, winds out of the south at 14 miles per hour. Dew point temperature at 72. Heat index values are close to 90 in Madison and in the mid-90s farther to the south of Madison. As we look at current temperatures, they range from the 50s in northern Wisconsin to the 90s across northern Illinois. That's a huge temperature contrast to fuel thunderstorm development, and with dew point temperatures around 70 degrees or even a little bit above, all the moisture is there for a severe weather outbreak. Fortunately, I think the best threat will stay just to our north and west. You can see the upper level jet stream winds mainly from the south and southwest across the Midwest. But if you look at the surface weather map with that warm front coming on through, you can see that over parts of southeastern Minnesota, notice the winds, they become a little more southeasterly. So that's where the wind shear is highest, where the tornado threat is highest. Here in southern Wisconsin, the lower level winds are pretty much in sync with the upper level winds. So strong winds would probably be the main threats around here. Forecast for tonight, showers and thunderstorms in a line of thunderstorms late after midnight. Low temperature dropping to 61. Some of those thunderstorms could produce strong winds. Tomorrow, breezy and much cooler. A slight chance for a morning shower. High temperature only at 64, 20 degrees cooler than it is right now. On future track, you can see that line of thunderstorms coming through overnight. Then just a few scattered showers early tomorrow morning. Lots of clouds through the day to keep temperatures in the mid-60s. As we clear out tomorrow night, temperatures drop into the upper 30s and lower 40s. And then on Saturday, look for high temperatures only in the mid to upper 60s. Rainfall amounts, fortunately, will be more in the quarter to half-inch range, maybe some heavier amounts out toward the La Crosse area. 7 to 10-day forecast calls for fall-like weather for the weekend. A little bit of a warm-up early next week. Some thunderstorm chances from Monday night into Tuesday, and then more cool weather, even cooler weather by the following weekend. As we take a look at first alert traffic, well, the sun's out now. That usually helps things, but that's the view from the DOT camera on East Washington Avenue at 2nd Street. Fairly heavy traffic through the Isthmus right now on East Washington Avenue. Also delays eastbound on the Beltline, beginning Monona Road and heading back to around Seminole Highway. Westbound, we're seeing some delays around Park Street and John Nolan Drive. A little more than a half hour from University Avenue to the interstate in the eastbound direction on the Beltline. About 23 minutes back in the westbound direction. Heading out of Madison, just shy of a half hour down to Janesville on I-3990. 17 minutes to Sauk City on US 12 and 18 minutes to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue and US 151. That's your first alert traffic.
All right, Gary, thanks.
Still ahead on News 3 at 5, a prank involving a McDonald's poster is paying off for two friends. We'll tell you why next.
News 3.
A prank at a McDonald's restaurant is really paying off for two young men in Texas.
It all began when two friends decided to put up a poster of themselves inside the fast food store. Kenneth Craig has the story from New York.
They're going to use the two of you in a marketing campaign.
Pranksters Jev Mayeravia and Christian Toledo got a surprise of their own from talk show host Ellen DeGeneres on her program Wednesday after the stunt they pulled at a McDonald's went viral.
You're each getting a check for $25,000.
It all began this summer when Mayeravia, a University of Houston student, and his friend noticed a lack of diversity on the walls of their local McDonald's.
We were just eating in McDonald's one day. We looked around and we saw other posters around, but they didn't have any Asians. So we felt like it was our duty to put ourselves up there. We took the picture.
We added some fries and the circles which the other posters had and added the logo in there.
The pair turned the photo into a large poster, and then with some help, they snuck the fake poster onto the wall.
And Crazy Rich Asians was a really big influence on me. It really pushed me over because I watched the movie 3 times.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So we wanted to be like crazy middle class.
Yeah.
McDonald's apparently had no idea what they had done until Mayeravia tweeted about it earlier this month, saying, "It's now been 51 days since I hung it up." The tweet went viral, and so did the friends. The poster is being donated to the Ronald McDonald House in Houston, where it'll be auctioned off. Both Mayeravia and Toledo signed it to prove the fake poster is the real thing. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
And Ellen also tasked the duo with sneaking a portrait of her onto a McDonald's wall.
Something tells me that won't be as easy to sneak with Ellen.
I don't think so.
Very clever, though, those two young guys. All right, we'll have another check of your forecast in just a moment. Stay with us. Look
Tonight on the CBS Evening News, the latest on a workplace shooting in Maryland that left 3 dead. New information on the staggering number of robocalls people are getting on their cell phones, and the child who received a first-of-a-kind surgery while still in the womb that repaired her heart and saved her life. Those stories and more tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And what's in store weather-wise tonight?
Things very quiet right now, but it is very warm and humid out there, and you know that at some point we're going to get some storms. Well, there they are out to the west of us, heading in our direction. Nothing imminent. Probably after midnight would be the most likely time here in Madison. Look at the difference in temperatures. Low 70s in the northern parts of our viewing area, around 90 near the Illinois state line, with dew points in the lower 70s and heat index values in the mid-90s down by Janesville. So it's very muggy out there.
Gary, thank you. Thanks for joining us. We're back in 30 minutes. The CBS Evening News is next.